Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 258. In this episode, I'm going to share 3 reasons why Magic Barclay is so badass. Now, Magic, she believes that health is the key to creating a magical life, and really, we do a deep dive all about health, but it's not just that. There are so many good things in the last episode about finding your own cure or looking for your own answers, asking the right questions, noticing your body and the signals that it's giving you. There was so much greatness. But in this episode, we're solely going to focus on the 3 reasons why Magic Barclay is so badass. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned. So I got to tell you, going to share what's going on in life right now. And part of that for me is the workshop that I've been talking about. Master Your Money Workshop. And I've told you the dates a couple times, and guess what? I'm switching it up. It is going to be December 2nd through the 4th, and I might even change the name of it. A little unusual, right? But I'm pulling behind the curtains a little bit, letting you know what's going on. Some things didn't work out with speakers. They had life events happen, so it's going to be a quality stinking event, and I want you to have the best. So that means that I'm postponing it a little bit so that you can have the best of the best and hear from amazing experts and really dive in and soak it all in. I want you to get a lot from it. So come January 1st, you're not going to be behind on your finances, or you're not going to be struggling trying to come up with a plan or figure out what to do. You are going to know. And you're already going to be ahead of the game. Everybody else is going to be freaking out, scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. Not you. So as soon as I have the link, I am going to let you know, or you can just message me on Instagram, Facebook, at Ordinary to Badass, either one, and tell me summit or workshop, right? And say, I want in, because there's going to be at least 9 amazing speakers and all different things about money. Some are going to be tactical tips and tricks for her finances. Some are going to be sending your kids to college and how to do that debt-free, or heck, maybe you want to go back to college. How to get through college debt-free and even going to good colleges, right? Or the mindset, tapping, different things, how you can really tap into the right mindset. Excuse the pun. But you could do that. So all of this greatness, message me on Instagram or Facebook at Ordinary to Badass and say workshop. And I will make sure to give you the deets when they are out. I am so stinking excited. This is my first time hosting a workshop, and I know that you are going to love it. So December 2nd through the 4th, put that in your calendar. I cannot wait to see your face. We are going to be live. Some of the videos are going to be recorded, but we are going to be live, and a lot of the guest speakers are going to show up live to answer your questions. It is going to be amazing. All right. With that, let's get to the show already. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are going to talk about real or real fake. And that's the new segment, right? Where we dive into, maybe not a deep dive, but we address different questions of things going on. Or I want to know your beliefs. What do you think? So, UFOs, aliens, extraterrestrial, not asking about the show E.T. But what do you think? Do you believe in that? Do you think those are real, or real fake. It's so funny how varying opinions on these subjects, right? And what people think is so widely different. And that's what I want to hear from you. So, extraterrestrial, aliens, um, do you think, or UFOs, do you think that's real? Or do you think real fake? Up to you. I want to hear from you. In Spotify, there's going to be a poll feature so you can answer it in Spotify. Otherwise, reach out to me. Reach out to me on the gram and let me know. Just say UFO. Real, fake. That's it. Whichever one you want. If you think UFOs are real, or you think they're real fake, let me know that. And I know it's probably a giant leap asking you to go over to the gram, but Instagram is probably the primary platform, or listen to this on Spotify and cash in your vote right there because I want to hear from you. I'm not even going to tell you my opinion on that one because not about me, right? This is about you, and I want to know what my audience likes, what they don't like. That's important to me. So take the poll, let me know what you think of UFOs, if you're totally into it and watch all the shows, or if you're like, nope, not for me. So I can't wait to hear from you, to see what you're thinking, get inside your head a little. All right. So today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why Magic Barclay is so badass. And go back, listen to the last episode. It was so good. But I know you're probably here because you're short on time and you just want to hear 3 of the reasons why Magic Barclay is so badass. So let me run through them real quick. First, she doesn't waste time. Second is she asks the forbidden questions. And third is for her investigative and research skills. Let's dive in a bit more. Magic Barclay is so badass because she doesn't waste time. Now, Magic talked about fear. She does not have time for fear. She doesn't have time to sit on the sidelines and complain about all the things, right? What could happen, what went wrong, how else to go about it. She said, I don't have time for that. I have a life to live and I only have one life. So this is what I'm going to do. And so she really pays attention to how she's feeling and when she's feeling fear. Sorry, my throat felt a little weird there. And how she can preserve her health. That's what she's focused on. So she's like, when I start to get adrenal fatigue, I know that's not good for me. And when your heart is racing or feels like it's going to pound out of your chest, that's not good for you. And oftentimes we just think like, oh my gosh, this is how we feel. Like I cannot change that. But maybe there are certain things you can change. Instead of focusing on one thing, instead of focusing on the negative or the bad or like the adrenal fatigue and letting that get in your head, maybe you focus on, I don't have time for this thought. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Because usually it's a thought that triggers that anxiety or the heart racing or the stress. And then that one thought usually compounds with another thought and sends us down a rabbit hole. And Magic talked about the box breathing and like how you can breathe in for a couple seconds, hold for a couple seconds, breathe out for a couple seconds. And you just keep doing that. And it's really just taking deep breaths like, so say breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds. And that's what you can do when you're feeling stress, when you feel like your heart is pounding or you're feeling anxiety and don't know what to do. Then you can always try doing the box breathing. There are different ways to combat stress. We don't just have to accept it. Now, I know there's serious medical issues. If you're having a serious medical issue, if you're having a panic attack, something like that, seek a doctor's help for sure. But if it's just like your routine anxiety, do you have to focus on that? Or can you start doing some box breathing? Can you start doing some meditation? Is there a different way that you can handle it? They say, well, I was going to mess that up, but I was going to say like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? So if you've always dealt with stress and just had this anxiety and never tried anything different, didn't try to handle it a different way, then that's the definition of insanity, right? So what are you doing to combat your stress? Are you just living a life of anxiety or living with your anxiety, but not doing anything to combat it? Now, think of one situation that happened in the past week that stressed you out or raised your cortisol levels or got you feeling anxious. Think of one situation. And now imagine yourself in that situation doing the box breathing. It's important. So, and then if you're doing the box breathing, then you pictured that in the last situation, you're more likely to have it happen in the next situation, because chances are what stressed you out last week, it will probably stress you out again. Only the next time it happens, you can kind of associate it with the box breathing. And maybe that means shutting your office door for a second, right? Or if you don't have the luxury of having an office, then you go and you sit in the bathroom a second and take those deep breaths. You do that box breathing. These steps that the experts are taking, listen to them, take them into consideration, try them, and maybe don't just test them out once, test them out several times. Do you think Magic never went through any stress in her life? She told us a bunch of stories about the different stressful experience she had. So I would bet she has. And it's like, listen to the experts. If they figured out a way out of it, it might help you too. Chances are it'll help you too. If it doesn't, okay, at least you tried it. At least if you saw if it would help you resolve some of that anxiety or the stress or have a different way of dealing with it. Sometimes, if you're anything like me, we can be stubborn and like bang our head against the wall, right? Do the same thing over and over, and it just doesn't work. So, the deep breaths, the box breathing, give it a shot. Now we'll move on to number two. Number two, the second reason why Magic is so badass is for asking the forbidden questions. Now, Magic talked about how she was kind of going against the grain, doing things differently. And she lives in Australia, I believe. And guess what? It's not polite there to ask questions, to question the doctors, because the doctors are the experts. That's what many of us are taught to believe. I don't even know that anybody had to tell us that, right? They're just automatically seen as the experts. They're seen as if they know it all about medical stuff or health in general, right? When they didn't necessarily go to nutrition school or they didn't go to become a health coach, anything like that. They know what they know. They know what they were taught. They know about medicine. They know about surgery. But oftentimes they don't know everything health related. And so we don't ask the questions, or we just assume that what they're doing is in our best interest. And it's not always in your best interest. I love doctors, not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying, question it. Be like Magic. Question what you're hearing. If it does not fit with you, if it doesn't gel well or something feels off to you, question it. Or just say why. That's what Magic liked to say. She just liked to ask why. Her doctor would say, but why? He was like, wait a minute. Huh? He's like, none of my patients have ever asked me that before. It's like, well, I'm asking. So why? And so she would flat out say, okay, well, you can go find the answer for me for the next time I come back, or I can find a different doctor, or I can keep waiting here in your office, right? How often are we asking why? Kids, it is like in their DNA. But why? But why? Because they're so stinking curious, right? So they just want to know why the world works the way it does. But where did we lose that? Where do we lose the curiosity, the excitement for what is to come, for what could be, the attempt to understand? Sometimes we don't even attempt to understand because we just figure, it's over my level. I don't know. I'm not going to waste their time, even though it's your health, it's your body. Waste their time. Personally, I don't think it's wasting their time, but ask the questions you need to ask. I don't know about you. I've gotten out of the doctor's office so many times and I had no clue and I didn't ask the follow-up questions. And like I would tell my sister, especially when I had like back issues, right? And I would tell my sister and she's like, but Marie, did you ask A, B, and C? No. And either I didn't think of it or I didn't feel comfortable asking. Not that they were rude or intimidating or anything like that, but I just thought like, oh, it's okay that I don't understand it, or it's okay that I don't know the next steps or what to do from here. And so I just accepted it as it was instead of like taking Magic's advice. Ask the question, just ask why. It's important that you understand. And if you're doing it, if you're taking their advice, if you're getting the surgery, doing the things, it's like as if you're saying, yeah, I understand this. Okay, cut me open, do it. But we don't necessarily always understand, or we didn't ask the questions necessary. Usually getting a surgery is pretty darn intense and it can be expensive. It's hard on your body, all the things. So why can't we ask questions? Are there any alternatives to this? What else could I do? But you have to ask the questions. Otherwise, you're accepting it. Like what you allow, you accept. So if you're allowing it to go on, or you're allowing the doctor to give you certain results or give you a plan of action, then you're just accepting it. And so again, this isn't a hate on doctors kind of thing, but it's a, maybe I should ask a question. What else would be possible? And if they are not, if they don't have the heart of a teacher, and I would say this for any type of person that you're hiring or paying your money to, right? Like if you're going to a financial coach or a health coach or a doctor, no matter who you're going to help you out with something, they should have the heart of a teacher and they should show you how to get down to brass tacks, show you what you're paying them for, right? And explain it to you. And if they can't, then it's possibly time to move on. Probably time to move on. Or go to 3 different doctors and see who you relate to better. See who can help you the most, right? And maybe there's a certain amount of privilege to this because not everybody has the option to go to 3 different doctors or has the healthcare to afford it. But if you do, then ask questions, ask different experts questions. All right. Now, the third reason why Magic Barclay is so badass is because of her investigator and research abilities. So although her title does not say that she's an investigator or a researcher, right? She helps people with their health. But she does do investigating and research. And she talked about how people are on so many different medications and different doctors. They have different doctors for different issues, and the doctors are giving them those medications. And then they're not realizing that the medications don't work with each other. So one doctor might give medicine that helps something or increases certain numbers, and then the other doctor gives something that decreases those numbers, and it's like zeroing itself out. And it's not really helping you. So you're taking medications for nothing, or maybe you're on double the amount that you should be because 2 doctors prescribed you the same exact thing. So you're just taking double the pills. Again, this circles a little bit back to asking the questions. And Magic had said, listen, if you're putting the prescription or the medication in your mouth, then it's your choice at that point. It's your job to do the double checking. It's your job to see what kind of medicine they're giving you and to do your research on it, because they're not going to do the research. Probably, I'm guessing, I was just going to say 9 out of 10 times, they're not going to do their research. And so you have to be your own researcher. You have to be your own investigator and dig in when it comes to your health. You have the ability to do it. You have the ability to go to Google, I was going to say Dr. Google or Wikipedia. They have maybe not all the answers, but they have a lot of answers, right? And you can Google some of this stuff. And in the last episode, Magic talks about that. She shares how you can do it. She shares what you can go and look up to get the answers that you want. So if you're on medications, start looking into it. Start seeing what you're putting into your body. Discover if you're putting anything into your body that doesn't work with something else. And if so, she said, okay, if you have two medications that shouldn't be going together, then there's something wrong there. And print off what you find online and take that. Take that to your doctor and be like, hey, what's up with this? This says I should not be taking these two medicines. And if you have questions about that and want to know more, definitely go back and listen to the last episode because Magic gets into the nitty gritty on that. But here's the thing. Maybe you don't need to, maybe your health is fine. Everything's perfect with your health and you don't need to be a researcher or an investigator. You don't need to dig in and ask more questions or do your own research. Cool. Good. But where in your life does this apply? Maybe it doesn't apply to your health, but it applies to your finances. Maybe it doesn't apply to your finances, but it applies to like any other journey you're going through, right? Like it applies to say you have to get an attorney or something and you need to be an investigator, be a researcher, go to 3 different attorneys, right? So ask yourself, where in your life do you need to be an investigator or researcher? Where should you be asking more questions? What do you feel uneasy with? Or where do you feel uneasy? Because if there's a part of your life where you feel uneasy or uncertain, like something might be off here, and somebody's telling you something, listen to your own gut, listen to your intuition, and talk to other people who have experience in the area and get their advice, get their feedback. Don't just ask anybody. Don't just ask any family and friends who have never been through whatever particular situation you're going through. Ask the experts, right? Or if you're in debt and you're struggling with that, ask those experts. If that's not an option, maybe you have a friend that paid off a bunch of debt. Or, Marie, who paid off $106,000 in just under 2 years. But there are usually other people out there that can help you. And certainly there is Dr. Google or Google out there that can answer a ton of questions. And we just forget that that's a possibility. As a badass, I know that you can do this. This is in your wheelhouse to be an investigator, to be a researcher, to do a little bit of digging. And that doesn't make you bad or wrong. Ask the questions. What's harder to swallow is when you have this intuition and you don't do anything about it. And you just keep trying to shove it down, let it go. And then something happens. You're like, oh crap, I knew this all along and I didn't ask questions. I didn't listen to my gut. I just tried to ignore it. Usually your intuition is right. It is there for a reason. There are few times where you get a gut feeling about something and then you listen to it and it was completely off, completely way off base. Usually it's there nudging you, telling you things for a reason. So don't be afraid to listen to it. So quick recap. 3 reasons why Magic Barclay is so badass. 1, she doesn't waste time. 2, she asks the forbidden questions. 3, she's an investigator or for her investigator or research abilities. So badass, right? So if you loved this episode, head on over to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating and review. And if you're feeling extra helpful, extra nice, extra badass, take a screenshot, throw it on Instagram, and tag me at Ordinary to Badass. It really excites me, makes me happy when I get your feedback on episodes, when I see that you're helping other badasses out, right? Or you're leaving a review and just hearing from you and hearing your feedback of the episodes. That makes me happy. All right. So make sure to tune in Monday. Gonna have another awesome episode. I don't know. Okay, I thought, Cheryl and Jeanette is going to be our next guest for next week. Definitely a lot of like neuroscience stuff going on with your brain, mindset stuff. So good. So make sure that you tune into that. And with that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.